Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 6 Japanese battleship Fuso. It has 12 main guns, 22 secondary guns, 52 AA guns, a top speed of 24.9 knots, total health 57,100, modules used reduce crit chance on main battery, increase AA range, reduce flood and fire chance, faster rudder shift, and for my commander, situational awareness, basic survivability, basic firing training, faster turret traverse, lower chance for fire, and lower cooldown on damage control. We are on the map Hotspot. I spawned in on the northwest side, and I'm trying to assault the enemy as they're moving to capture C. I have my allies in the southeast side. They're attempting to capture C, but as you can see, there is a cluster of enemies trying to enter the islands on the north side of C. I have fantastic flanking fire. The Fuso has fantastic range. The guns are amazing. Between the rate of fire and the amount of guns, you can do a ton of damage. But we're at a pretty long range. These aren't easy shots. It's plunging fire. So my goal is to try and get the rounds to damage the decks of the enemy. But clearly, they're very far away. And really, it's the start of the game. I'm just trying to get in position to be effective. Trying to identify high-value targets, like the enemy aircraft carrier. Fortunately, my friendly aircraft carrier has already dropped a set of torpedoes that have destroyed the enemy aircraft carrier, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Now, the enemy aircraft carrier does get a great attack on a battleship and a friendly aircraft carrier. I hope they survive with minimal damage. I'm taking crossfire from the enemies at B, so I need to be careful. I need to keep an angled target. I don't want to be broadside. Some of these enemies that have moved into C were just sailing as if they weren't taking any damage from the enemy, which is weird. I have situational awareness. They clearly see me, yet they're not doing anything to minimize the damage that they take. They're assuming I'm going to miss. And you never want to assume an enemy's going to miss. You might run into the best player in the world. I am certainly not. So long-range battleship shots are difficult for me. I try my best by aiming at the waterline. I also try to find targets that are not interested in maneuvering, like this enemy New Mexico. He is not really angled at all. He is just sailing north, not having a care in the world about minimizing his silhouette. So we're trying to lead him. He's a little bit slower than probably a Japanese battleship, but in general, US battleships are slower. So I lead him a little bit less, but apparently not enough, right? You really want your rounds to go center mass to maximize your citadel chance. And I'm only getting 2 or 3 that are even coming close to the center of the target. Wargaming defines the citadel as a part of the ship in between the front and the back turret. This is the area of the ship with obviously the most important part of the ship. So if you can land a shot that penetrates the armor at the waterline, goes into all the vulnerable, vital organs of the ship, you have a high chance of doing maximum damage. And I'm just not aiming well enough. I am just leading the target a little bit too much. Now, it is moving into the realm of accurate fire. He takes a big HE bomb, and he has to use damage control. It looked like he had at least 2 decks set, maybe a third. That would have been 750 damage roughly. And we finish him off just before the island gets in the way. Just enough to kill him. And we switch to the New York. Another key bit of information. Have a new target. If you know your target's going down, have an idea of the next target. And this guy is sailing just as casual. Full broadside. Didn't even try to maneuver out of the torpedoes. The guy lands 5 of his 6 torpedoes. I want to shake his hand. He's getting fantastic torpedo strikes. And finally, the New York is angling his ship. I think he's trying to address the friendly cruiser that's coming up on his south. And yep, Now it's going to be a difficult shot for me to penetrate. And if you notice, I've let this fire burn. Anyone who's watching my battleship, if it's one fire, let it burn, use the heal. If it's two or more, use damage control. Damage control is too important to use frivolously, and I see that the Murmansk is going to finish him off with torpedoes. I'm not even going to waste my time. Good job, Murmansk, killing that New York. So, the enemy is moving into sea. They have eliminated or forced all my allies to move out of sea in the southeast side. We just have what looks like a friendly destroyer. This Mayoki Tier 4 Japanese battleship doesn't have the upgraded hull. The signature command tower, which is like 30 stories on the Fuso, doesn't exist for the Mayoki. So his hull is going to have less armor, he's going to have less health, and he's going to have less AA. So my ally, my carrier, should have a lot of success if he would go after a ship such as the Mayoki. And it looks like he is bombing the Mayoki. And the Mayoki is not really adjusting his heading. When you're sailing around islands, you need to be very careful because you have limited options. And if you sail incorrectly, such as the Mayoki right now, you might actually show full broadside and you might run into an island like he's doing right now. We do 12,000. We don't even aim as well as we should. A lot of those rounds didn't hit anywhere near the Citadel. So, right off the bat, we're limiting our chances of a Citadel penetration. You really want center mass. That's really where the juicy bits are. And he's on fire. He probably had damage control down from using it previously. And he definitely killed himself here. And we just helped him get on to the next game. Yeah. I think if a battleship runs aground in front of 6 or 7 enemies, you deserve to die. Yeah. I think the game should just crash you right there. Don't even watch your ship die, because it's already dead. So a New York half health, and he's sort of broadside. I'd say 90% there. It's a good shot. We aim waterline, and we get a lot of center mass shots, and there's our first Citadel of the game. 20,000 between the Citadel and a couple more rounds hitting the target. And he's just barely alive. We're going to leave that to an ally. We don't have the rate of fire to finish off ships that low. There are far too many enemies that are of value to take out. I see the Murmansk is right next to me. I don't want to crowd him out. So I want to keep in mind that he is on my left flank. We got a New Mexico, a Cleveland, and we have a Minikaze. I notice he's pretty close. So I'm going to try and take him out. Rate of fire is fantastic. I do have AP loaded, which is not ideal, but it's okay to use every once in a while against a destroyer. It will do pretty good damage. We do 4K damage, and we should be reloaded by the time he comes outside of the island, because the Fuso's rate of fire is fantastic. 27-second reload. Few battleships can even come close to that. I believe the Yamato has 24. Just amazing, by the way, the Yamato's rate of fire. It does sacrifice the amount of guns in comparison to the Montana, but variety is the spice of life, and we kill the enemy destroyer. We're coming up on an enemy New Mexico, and of course, wouldn't be a destroyer without releasing his torpedoes trying to kill me. So, full stop, and I change my heading. Conveniently, I'm angling my turrets so I can assault the New Mexico. He fired less than 10 seconds ago, so he has to hold for another 20 seconds or so. So I have the chance to fire all my guns. Waterline shot, and it does 14,000. It's okay, no penetrations, and I'm able to re-angle my ship. This is the ideal scenario when fighting other battleships. You want to minimize the opportunity for the battleship to penetrate your armor and maximize the DPS you can do. Now sometimes that requires you fire all your guns so you can re-angle, and sometimes that requires you fire 1 or 2 if the enemy's not interested in engaging you. Now I see this friendly cruiser, he's rushing ahead full. He looks like he is trying to get a torpedo strike, but the battleship has committed to killing him. Oh man, I didn't see that coming until, probably like 3 or 4 seconds before it was happening, and he lets out the torpedoes too slow. You just gotta let them fly, man. In that situation, it's embarrassing. A New Mexico collided with you. You let a New Mexico, one of the slowest ships in the game, collide with you. A fast, agile cruiser with torpedoes. Just embarrassing. So this Cleveland, he's only got 500 hit points. There's slim to no chance of me getting in range. This massive island is going to prevent any fire. And I'm just trying to see if the Phoenix will land torpedoes. Maybe the Phoenix wants to shoot him with his guns because he's literally a shot away from dead. Or is it going to be a carrier that finishes him off? Probably the Phoenix. But we got 3 kills. We got 1 Citadel penetration. We did almost 2k base XP. Did over 125,000 points of damage. Fuso's fantastic for it. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.